So this is a quick overview of how levels of the organization work. And the reason this is important is we think that's what the organization chart is supposed to do. But for a number of reasons, the organization chart does not describe the type of work we do very well. Now, let's take an example. So for an organization that's going from sort of a corporate level down to, say, the takeout window at the store, there should be some linearity where corporate objectives get aligned, cascaded, passed down through the organization. Now, the observation about this is as we do it, the objectives change. So corporate, we want to grow, operations is about expansion and so forth. Eventually we get down to the takeout window where it's all about speed and accuracy. The attribute to notice here is there's a difference in complexity of tasks that you're doing and also the time horizon that we look at. So this is the construct that we actually have to get our organization charts to respect. Now, let's take a look at the average organization chart. So obviously there's this relationship as we drill down the organization. Now, I'm going to step sideways for a second and take a look at some work that Elliot Jacques did in the book called The Requisite Organization. And what he's done is by analyzing the Army and then a bunch of other organizations, understood a relationship between the time span of decisions that you need to make and the breadth of work that you're doing, the scope of work. And he measures that as job complexity, but we'll just call it scope here. And so the idea is there's some work that has sort of a low scope of work, and that's just managing yourself. The next level, we'll call it level of work 2, is managing a team or a process. And then we just keep on adding the layers after that. Managing managers, managing functions, businesses, and then the enterprise. And the idea is as you move up this chart, the distance in time that you have to think out goes farther and farther. And the span of your scope, the complexity increases. So this is trying to portray what we saw in that first chart where the strategy cascades down the organization. So let's combine these two things. We'll tuck this up in the top right corner and take a look at that organization chart. Now, if we color this organization chart based on the job functions as illustrated on the right, this is what we get. In other words, as you'd expect, there's a bunch of stuff down here that's level 1 work. But there's also stuff at the bottom of the organization chart that's level 2, just because of how we've acquired businesses, people's background, that kind of thing. And we end up with this unequal alignment horizontally about compared to the complexity of work and job span. If we were to correct this organization chart, we do it a bit like this. So level 1 work, this pink stuff, we'll put down the bottom here. Then level 2, which is the yellow and the checkmark yellow, will move up to the next level. And so forth. So what we've done is taken that organization chart and restructured it, not based on the reporting relationship that currently exists, but the scope of work that they do, and organized it level 1 through level 5. Now, that's a much more reasonable way to do it in terms of taking a look at job scope. And in fact, if we take a look at any one functional area, we see typical titles where, these are managers, directors, VPs, SVPs. So, and that's why sometimes in the organization, you might see someone who has a VP title down 2 or 3 layers in the organization chart because of that misalignment between the complexity of work they're doing and in that organization chart. So the issue is this, that we don't need to change the organization chart necessarily. Maybe you did have to in the old days. Now we can solve that with OKRs by setting the OKR with the appropriate scope and complexity. I don't need to change the organization chart. I'll just arrange the OKRs for each of these job functions to be appropriate. And we do that. We've done this for many organizations. It's incredibly effective because I'm not dealing with the political issues of changing the organization chart, but I'm getting the outcome that the organization needs in order to achieve victory.